Hey guys, welcome back to K Games. I know it's been a super long time, but I do have an interesting game for you today. This is a game that I played on Lichess.org. It's kind of my new favorite chess website to play on. So I just recently got back into chess. For people who don't know, I'm just kind of like a chess enthusiast, never been taught by anyone, just kind of self-taught, and depending on I guess like what kind of benchmark you're using. My score, like I guess your ELO or whatever you call it for chess, I'd be somewhere between like a 1200 and 1500. Anyway, doesn't really matter. I thought I'd showcase this game because it, to me, I mean I don't win a lot of chess games. Generally, actually, I'm losing, but I just find them very instructive. And this particular one, I did win. But it was very interesting. I found everything that the person who's playing black today, it was almost mirroring what I thought that I would do. And it just goes to show you how wrong you can be. And at the same time, you have the kind of perception of being on the other side. Anyway, with that in mind, we'll just kind of go. So, kind of just typical start. It's so interesting for me, like, because the chess openings, I literally all I know is the E4 and E5 opening. I like literally don't know any other opening, so I just kind of react to however people play. So yeah, I'm not really gonna comment on every play here. And I never really know how to respond to knight here. I know some people put the pawn here so the knight can't move, but I did a bishop just because I was really trying to lock out this d4 spot here. Anyway, so he responded with this. I got a little worried, thinking that I had missed something. It said the computer says, stockfish says, to move the pawn. I moved the knight only because sometimes people don't push and then they come in with something else. Like it actually tells you the knight's supposed to move. And I thought, well, maybe put pressure on this this spot here. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, to be honest. Anyway, he takes, puts me in check, so I recapture. So this is super interesting. I've actually had this a couple times, and actually I've watched other games. So apparently you're just supposed to recapture this knight. I'd love for someone to explain to me why that's good. I mean, I guess it is double pawning. Anyway, I didn't really know if that was a good move at that particular moment, so I moved up my bishop. This was kind of like a stall for me because I wasn't really sure what I should be doing. Everything is kind of locking out up here, and I was kind of worried, well, I'm going to lose something. If I move my pawn, it's like I'm just giving up a piece. So then I thought I was going to castle. Anyway, moving on here. He castles. I did take, only because when he castled, I thought, well, if I mess up his pawn structure, maybe there's some movement here. And this is really interesting because this has happened to me so many different times. This is his first mistake. He moves his pawn, and obviously, according to Stockfish, and if you're a really good player, this would just be the end, right? He probably should have resigned, but he kept going, and I commend him for that because I've done that as well. Because sometimes you just want to know, like, maybe I'm good enough to continue without such a major piece. Anyway, I castle. We continue going here. But again, the reason why I'm showing you this game is for people who are just up-and-coming chess players, this mimics what you feel oftentimes when you're playing. Like, he's doing exactly what sometimes I would be responding to someone else playing. And for some reason, this particular game had such an effect on me, I had to show it. So, move my bishop back. He's supposed to move his knight. He moves his queen out. I got pretty concerned because I've been in this position before, and for some reason, inevitably, I don't know why, but I lose my rook. I always do this wrong. But I'm in this pretty good position here with two rooks and my queen's in the middle. I don't have a flight square yet, but it's happening. So I'm just like, okay, well, what should we do next? It's it actually tells you to move the queen up. I think at one point it said to move the rook over. But anyway, I attack the queen because there's no reason why it should be a problem. He moves it down, and again, like for me, just internally, I'm like, well, wait a second, did I miss something? Because I keep thinking I'm going to lose my rook. But it's like, no, I can't lose my rook because the queen's there. There's the other rook. But internally, I'm thinking something's going wrong here. He knows something that I don't. And oftentimes, that is the feeling when you're playing someone else, especially when it's a live game. I move my pawn up because he's not really guarding this square here. My bishop can come in and hopefully now free up what was pretty much a locked area. That's exactly what happens. He doesn't move his knight over like Stockfish suggests. Now, this is an interesting one, and it was something that I was reviewing before I did the video. This is what happens every single time. Like every single time Stockfish gives an analysis to take a piece, always with the queen and not with the minor and major piece. And what's interesting for me is that technically, yes, this is the superior move probably, because you can do a lot of different reasons. Well, there's still 5 pawns on the place or on the board here, and if you were a master, if you had mastery over the game, if you're a grandmaster, doesn't really matter, but if you're a master of the game and your middle game and your end game is really good, it doesn't really matter if you have your queen, because you have enough pawns. There's all the kind of like minor pieces are almost off the board, and you're gonna get your queen in the end anyway if you're the winner. And so it's like, okay, so you capture with the queen. Well, I'm not a master of the game, so of course I'm not going to capture with my queen. Why am I going to sacrifice my queen on purpose? So I captured with the knight. He doubles up, rook with the queen. I capture the pawn. I don't even know if he realized that he was just leaving the pawn open like that, but I think maybe he thought, well, his queen is threatened. Anyway, capture with the pawn. I don't really know. I guess the well-intentioned kind of push of the bishop, he didn't like where it was or something, but it didn't really seem like a good move to me. I thought he could have done something else. I moved my bishop back, and so he's threatening now. I just take because the only way that he could recapture is with his rook. I would just take it with the knight, which is incredible. I should have actually probably taken with the knight in hindsight, but I took it with the bishop. And now it's like, well, either he takes with the queen or he takes with the rook, which he's not going to take with either, so he just lost a piece. So again, this is like, internally, for me, it's like, this is literally like a self-expression of what happens when you're playing. The blunder after blunder, and for me, I just thought this was very instructive, this particular game. There's something about it. It's just very instructive to me. So he attacks, and I just moved out of the way. Because for me, personally, I thought, well, if the knight is dead, it's being threatened by the pawn, the queen, but I mean, the queen's not really a threat anymore because there's nothing backing it up. But the thing is, if the knight is dead, it's dead. So you might as well get a piece. So I took a piece, and he took it back. And this is probably something that maybe he wasn't anticipating or didn't see it at the time, but essentially he just freed up this entire open file. So, and for quite a few moves, the knight was in the way. And so it's kind of one of those kind of like rookie moves. I do it all the time. It's extremely frustrating. You kind of get in the groove and then something changes. Really watch out for these open files. It's kind of crazy. So I moved. So obviously this open file is open now. He takes, and now he's in check. And then you can just kind of imagine, you're like, oh crap. Because like he missed something. He doesn't understand, and like this has happened to me so many times before. It's just like I really feel for this guy, whoever it is. Amazing player, up and comer probably. Really awesome. And now that he had to move, he drops his rook. I mean, honestly, at this point, I would have thought that he would have just resigned, but he kept going. I just love the fact that he kept going. Sometimes you just want to see how the game ends. So he takes. Put him check again. And we keep going. I put in a flight square only because this happens, like I said, many times. You're on your way to victory, and you can kind of like, you feel it. You're like, oh, like all I have to do is just not make a mistake. But sometimes in the end game, when the queens are still around, or even some major pieces, like other major pieces, you just like, you forget to put in your flight square or like whatever, and you've just boxed in your king, and you don't want to like miss the fact that, oh, like the mate was there, and they just grab it. So anyway, he continues, and so I just threaten the queen again. Just keep continuing here. It's a bishop to d3, and I just kind of went with something that I really understood, and plus it got me off of the queen threat that just continued to happen the whole time. So he came down. Again, that's not really, I don't know what was going on with that, but he doesn't have too many options left. So I recapture. We keep going here. And so the thing is, this was good. He was threatening my rook. There's nothing protecting it. But the check was already going to happen. And then really just the game just unfolds from here. Anyway, I thought this was a very interesting and hopefully instructive video, not just, or like it was an instructive game for me because it just hits home so hard for the things that we do all the time. And it just like, this one game just encapsulated the whole thing, my experience of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I might start to upload some more videos. I say that all the time with other things. Whether or not it happens, I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you next time. All right, have a good day.